Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard Jane for a moment there, I think.
No, that wasn't Jane.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Have pledge allegiance. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance.
allegiance to the flag.
to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, John, you want to do roll call?
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Ofer?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here,
Mr. Voda?
Here.
Mrs. Kern? Solicitor Exides?
Here.
And I see Mr. Butler is here.
Okay, Rob,
Did- Did everyone get the minutes that I sent to them today?
yes, Charlie.
No, I didn't get the minutes. This is Mr. Rossi.
I do not have them either, Don.
I don't believe I have them either.
No, I'm talking to the board members.
Okay.
No, right now, there's no, I think only one person said they have seen the minutes, so.
Okay.
Hold
They were-
on that.
We can move them to the next meeting. They were in your email today.
Okay. Okay, Rob, you wanna do the oath?
Yes. All applicants or persons offering testimony in support of or in opposition to the scheduled public hearings, please be sworn. I'm not going to say stand because everybody's sitting down. And you can state your name and address for the record when you speak.
20 Swiss Elm, 4513 Hilty Road. That's
What-
Murraysville, PA, 15668.
I didn't swear everybody yet.
Sorry. I thought you requested that.
You
My
swear.
apologies.
Yeah, 1 second. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to God on the last great day?
Yes, I do.
I do, yes.
Okay. Now everybody can speak up.
Okay,
Can I state,
okay, John, all the properties have been posted, right?
Correct.
Okay. Our first hearing is ZHB 20-15. The applicant would want to go ahead and explain what they're looking for.
yes, we are interested at 963 Hayden Boulevard of installing a billboard. The owner of the property is Gasper. I'll spell his last name, Militello. He's approved and given permission for us to do so. We've met the size requirements, height requirements of Elizabeth Township of a 10 by 25 billboard. One side would be standard billboard. The other side would be digital. That digital would be facing northbound, I assume is be the direction heading towards Pittsburgh. We've met with PennDOT and gave partial approval. They need your approval to complete. And we've met the setback requirements. We've issued the survey of the property, the engineer drawings to John. So I am open to answer any questions on this project.
Let me start with this one. Why does the application for variance say 957 Hayden Boulevard and the sign permit application says 963 Hayden Boulevard? Are there two lots there?
I can answer that one. It's one parcel. There's two addresses on it. The actual tax parcel address is 957. The other building on the property has a 963 Hayden Boulevard address.
Okay. So in the ruling on this case, we're going to refer to 957, right?
Correct.
Okay.
John, you did state that it had been posted.
Correct. It's been
Okay.
posted, it's been advertised.
Okay, do you have anyone tonight to speak?
I
for or
did,
against?
I did have one person inquire, let me, I saw he was here a second ago. If anyone wants to speak as to this hearing. Gary, do
Yes, I'm here.
you have any comments?
Yes, I have several questions first, if I could I get answers to them. On the survey, it says the light or the billboard's going to be 30 feet high. And on the sign permit application, it says 38 feet high. So I'd like clarification on that.
38 feet high is what I have in my engineer drawings, because we want to have a setback off the highway and we needed to go over the building. So I have 38 feet on my drawings. Is that correct, John, on the engineer drawings? It says 38 feet.
Mine says 30.
That's strange. Okay. Then 30 it is. I'm going to stand corrected. Whatever the engineer drawings say, that's exactly what they surveyed the property to be. So I stand
Yeah,
corrected.
the preliminary ones say 30 feet overall.
Right.
Okay, then I stand corrected. It's 30 feet, not 38.
Okay. Okay, so I have some comments to make here. I'm frustrated to the fact that I'm the neighbor above and I'm concerned about lighting and light pollution on my property.
That's a great question, if I may answer it. First of all, they are using spread LEDs on this because we realize that we don't want to shine it on anybody else. A spread LED is bright at the surface and then dissipates quite quickly. This is what we use on all the highways now that are also in residential, near residential areas, because we realized that we needed a product that would be approved in areas that there may be homes near. So it's a spread LED. There is 100% adjustment on the brightness. At night, they will be scheduled to drop down to 25% brightness. During the day, it will return to 100% brightness. That's only on the side that's digital, and I'm not sure which side your property is on. But
Well,
if it-
yeah, you're saying northbound is going to shine towards me, southbound is not.
Okay, you are correct then. Southbound will be a standard billboard, but the northbound will be digital. But they are, again, these are the ones that they're approving all over Pittsburgh that are near residential. I do a lot of churches, and that's a similar situation. So again, by using this type of LED, A, it's adjustable in brightness down to 0. B, it is a spread LED, which doesn't have their reflective onto properties. It doesn't light up the grass, in other words. So they've eliminated that issue. That's a development in the last 3 years in our industry.
Okay, is there any way of switching the south and the north to be lit or not lit?
Not necessarily. They wanted to go double-sided digital. They opted for single-sided digital for approval for FAA. It's the digital sign is what the owner of the property, the owner of the billboard each want to do. And the side that is, to be honest with you, profitable is heading northbound, not southbound. But again, they can also angle this sign. And once we find your location, your property, to make sure it's not shining on, but I can guarantee with the spread LEDs, you won't have that issue. As a person who does a lot of churches that are in residential areas, it is a constant concern. So this LED development, and plus turning down the sign at night, and we turn it down for a lot of reasons, not just to shine on your property, but you can't read a sign that's too bright at night. The glare issue is a problem. So turning it down to 25% at night solves that issue.
Okay. Mr. Zoning Hearing Board Solicitor,
Yes.
I have a question for you, sir. This applicant has submitted a sign permit application, which is clearly different than a billboard application. when you look on the zoning hearing board application, down at the bottom of the page, it indicates type of application, and he has checked off application for uses authorized by a special exception under the zoning code. Well,
When are we on now?
I'm
Which one
sorry,
are we on now?
I'm on the
We're on the
zoning
one that's.
board application, the bottom section of the front page that talks about indicating type of application. And then they checked off 6.
I need to refer to John on that. I sat in John's office. I filled out exactly what. they
Yeah,
asked me
this,
to do.
this application, it was originally filled out, and after some further initial research, it was, we really thought it would be a conditional use, and we had him fill out the proper conditional use paperwork. And then reviewing everything, we found that a use variance would be needed, and I just never had him correct this application. We just went with the original application due to some of the restrictions that we're currently under and everything.
So the sign permit application is for conditional use then, is that right?
That's
Well,
correct.
no, that was
And-
originally going to be the question, and I'm just talking about the bottom of the zoning appeal application. As far as the sign application, that's just a township form for signs.
Okay.
But this is not a sign, it's a billboard. And when you read your zoning ordinance, they are 2 clearly different structures. A sign permit and a sign is accessory to the permitted uses on the property, and a billboard is a separate and a standalone entity of another permitted use.
And
Yeah,
billboard,
the billboard is on the sign application, simply so I always ask to have that submitted as well with the zoning, because all of the information is very simple, easy to find. It's more just for quick reference.
Yeah, I filled out what they asked me to fill out. I'm not an expert in that, in Elizabeth.
John, will
Well-
this need a conditional use also?
In a B2, it would be.
Mr. Solicitor, I'm going to ask you, if at all possible, if you would look at page 186 in the zoning ordinance, which is 820, and please review section 1706, which is entitled billboards. And if you don't have that, I'll be glad to, well, I'd rather not read it to you. I think
Actually,
need to see
you know
this.
what? It's in the last 2 pages. It's in the last 3 pages of the submission. Everybody has it.
Yeah, I put
You
it in
like
the
them?
packet that I sent to the board.
Yeah, I have it right here.
Okay, so section 1706, which is entitled billboards, says billboards shall not be permitted in the SC
Right.
zoning district. Okay,
That's right.
then it goes on to say that if you want to put a billboard in Elizabeth Township, it's a conditional use in the B1 district following a recommendation from the Planning Commission and a public hearing by the Board of Commissioners.
That's what it says.
Well, why are we in front of the zoning hearing board?
Because I think you can get a variance from that. You can get a variance from any provision of the zoning ordinance.
So why do we have an ordinance? Why do
It's the only
we
way you can get, it's the only way you can get around that. Well,
get
Gary,
around it or enforce the code?
you know, if there's anyone, Gary, if there's anyone that knows that, it's you. The standards for a variance are pretty high.
Well, and he has failed to provide those standards. And you know what they are as well as I do, Mr. Solicitor.
I do.
He has failed to provide the 5 hardships for a zoning variance. There's nothing in his packet for that. And there's nothing for the zoning hearing board to do because he's failed to submit his hardships. This is not a zoning issue. This is a conditional use to the Planning Commission. And it's not zoned for billboards.
Well, he's not done talking yet. I haven't heard of any hardship yet, though.
Oh, well, I can only read the paperwork submitted. So if he has a hardship, you and I both, I guess, would like to hear this. But I want to go on record that not in his zoning hearing board application, nor his sign permit application, has he provided the zoning hearing board with the 5 hardships that are mandated by the MPC and need to be reviewed by the zoning hearing board of Elizabeth Township.
Okay, Gary, if you could please for the court reporter, spell your name for her.
Sure. My name is Michael Wargo, W-A-R-G-O. Hello.
John, I have a question that relates to Gary's comments.
Yes.
What is the topography of this tract? There's a hill there, isn't there? Like the slopes down to 51?
Correct.
And how steep is that?
It's pretty steep.
That's what I thought. Now that building,
Mr.
building.
Mr. Solicitor.
Okay, wait, no, I got to ask one more related question. The building that's there at the bottom of the hill, is that in use now? And if so, as what?
It's in use as it's a commercial use. Bear with me here. I'm
I
trying
can
to,
answer that.
the one is a pizza shop.
One is a pizza shop and the other one is a half vacant, unoccupied building that sometimes has vehicles in it and sometimes it's empty.
Well, I know-
Yesterday, it was empty.
Okay, I've seen people in the building and I'm trying to remember what the
He
vehicle
owns a
said.
trailer company. The owner of that property owns a trailer company right up the road, and he uses that place to partial shells, partial a little bit of everything, I think. To answer your question, if you wanted to know what was there. That's,
Well, the owner of the property main business is in Jefferson Borough, right up from the Blue Flame restaurant.
you are correct.
And he uses this site as I would assume either storage or repairs of these trailers. And he rents out the other building to this Inferno Pizza.
I believe you're correct.
So this billboard in no way is accessory to what's on the property. The property is zoned SC, Special Conservation. The pizza shop and the building that's there is a legal non-conforming use that's been there for decades before this zoning ordinance was adopted. And putting another non-conforming, non-permitted use structure on there is not what zoning's about per the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code or Elizabeth Township's zoning ordinance. Again, I'm going to ask the solicitor to please read section 1706
We have it right here.
and 1706.1. Billboards may be authorized as a conditional use only in a B1 district, provided all the following requirements are met. The applicant has then, in his application to the zoning hearing board, answered A through I, which is the questions that he has to meet for a conditional use,
That's right.
not a use variance, for a conditional use that goes in front of the planning commission and the the commissioners.
Well, I would say this, and he has done that, that at the very least, anybody asking for a variance in this situation should probably demonstrate conformity with A through I, because that's what the commissioners have set forth as the minimum requirements for a billboard in the districts where they are permitted. So I
In
think that's
B1,
relevant.
in B1,
Yeah,
not
but he still
CS.
needs a variance, and that's why he's here.
But he has failed to meet any hardship requirements per the MPC or Elizabeth Township zoning ordinance to this point. He's
It's hard to
provided no
see.
hardships, none. And Mr. Solicitor, as you know as well as I do, there's 5 criteria that he needs to meet. And he's not done that at this point.
Absolutely. We just turned down the Lovedale Hollow property for that last month.
I don't know anything about that.
Trust me, we just looked at the criteria. This board looked at the criteria last month and they denied one.
Well, you can look at this criteria because this board, as all zoning hearing boards, are governed by the PA MPC and these 5 hardships.
I've asked over this past month when they changed this to this meeting from last week's meeting, is there anything I need to do? And the answer was no. I mean, I'd be more than glad to provide whatever you're looking for if I'd known I needed it. I just, again, John, I've just been, as you know, I've been in regular contact trying to make sure
Yeah.
that, because this is a pretty simple thing. There's billboards all along 51. In that area alone, we had to measure from distance from others. There are other billboards. It's not like it's a new idea. And I'll be more than glad to provide whatever you want. I just didn't know I needed it for this. So, but it's, I mean, it's, like I said, they're pretty common along 51.
I'd like to bring up another issue. And I'd like to go to your survey you provided. Survey that was provided by your engineer, MDM. So because we have decided, or I have, that this billboard is not accessory to the 2 businesses or structures that are there, this building is a standalone use. And the surveyor has clearly not established this front building line. This is truly a corner lot under your definition. And that in the billboard cannot be in the front 35-foot building line without a variance. He's not applied for that. This whole application is bizarre. Why do we have building lines? He doesn't even apply for a variance to put this structure in front of the front building line.
We're not in the front.
Yes, you are.
John, did I not apply correctly on this? We met in your office. This is the proper setback for the sign.
This is not a sign. This is a billboard, sir. If you
I called it a sign, but for a billboard. That's exactly my conversation with John, that we had the proper setback requirements for the property, for the building, for Elizabeth.
You have the proper setbacks for a sign, but you do not have the proper setbacks for a billboard. It's a standalone sub building on this property. It has to be behind the front building line. And furthermore,
we are behind the front building line, but John, would you respond to that? Because
do you know what the front building line is in SC?
So John, again, we had this conversation because I could place it anywhere along there. I didn't care which one it was to go with, and I followed your guidance on this.
You know, sometimes I'm wondering who filled out this application, but that's not what we're here for tonight. What we're here for is to figure out what you want to do and how and why you're in front of the zoning hearing board when I clearly feel and believe that you're in the wrong forum the wrong zoning, the wrong location, and I can substantiate that through the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, the Elizabeth Township zoning ordinance. And again, I want to state one more time, I don't know who filled out this application. I'm starting to wonder, but a billboard cannot be in front of the building line, which is 35 feet. A sign for the permitted businesses on the property can, and that's what you filled out, a sign building permit application. You did not fill out a billboard. Read the ordinance. It's clearly distinct and separate subject. Plus, if you study the survey and you study the building plans for this light, it's going to extend into the PennDOT Route 51 right away.
That's not true. That part there, we got the right-of-way line from Sander Price. We are way beyond the right-of-way line. That part there is simply
Okay,
not
so
true.
how wide is this billboard, sir?
This sign is
I can answer
25
that.
feet wide. This billboard is 25 feet wide.
And can you tell me what half of 25 feet is?
12 and a half, sir, but again, we are
Stop.
further back than that.
Not according to your survey, you're only back 11.7. That's what your survey says.
And that's to the edge of the sign, sir, not to the center of the pole. We always measure from the edge of the sign. So we're 11.7 feet back. And so the actual pole would be installed another 12 and a half feet from that. That's to the edge of the sign, which is what the state insists on all measurements be from the edge of the sign.
Well, Elizabeth Township zoning ordinance says that sign has to be back 35 feet from the front building line. That's the front building line in the special conservation district. Does anybody
So
on?
are we arguing over the location of the sign? Because we have plenty of property there. If we need to go further back, that's really not a big issue.
I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm looking for zoning compliance and whether or not you're allowed to have this sign here. It's clear in my mind that you have failed at this application to meet the hardship requirements of the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code and Elizabeth Township zoning ordinance, which is clearly spelled out, again, in section 1706 and 1706.1.
So John, again, I got to refer to you because
John's not doing this application. He may have.
Oh, I understand that, sir. I'm speaking to John at this moment. I just wanted to know, I'll provide whatever you're looking to provide. I've been asking for a long time now to tell me what you need. Be more than glad to do it because again, there are other billboards on that road that have met requirements. I'm sure we can also. I'd be more than glad to move the location if that's the issue here. And I'll be more than glad to meet whatever rules that you have.
The issue is you're here at the zoning hearing board. You have not provided the necessary hardship requirements, and the zoning there clearly does not permit billboards in this zoning district or on this property. That's the issues.
Does anybody else have anything?
Just a comment of clarification. When Mr. Wargo was talking there relative to the location, if you read the drawing itself, I believe Mr. Wargo is correct. The drawing is identifying the center of the billboard.
I'm not quite sure we mark it as a center. We usually use the edge.
I understand that. What you said didn't match what the drawing says,
Where does it say on the drawing that it's the center?
right? Above where the location of the billboard is.
That's not the location of the billboard. That's the edge of the sign.
Well, what you say there, though, is
The notes there say proposed center of billboard.
that's correct.
But
Well, then he
the
is
bottom
incorrect.
line is,
Well, that's not what you said. That's just for clarification. It's not a point that I want to beat on, but
bottom line is,
So what would be best, that I withdraw this and revisit with this, John? Because again, if I'd known it needed to be back 35 feet, I would have done that. It's not.
Let me refer to Solicitor Exides.
I concur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mr. Margot is correct that we have that a variance requires the 5 grounds that is in the municipal planning code as well as the Elizabeth Township zoning ordinance. And we haven't heard anything about that. And the fact that there is a currently operating use there, the pizza shop, suggests that it does not meet that. There's case law about that. So that's kind of hard to cure. Now the distance matters. I have no reason to question what you're saying about the 35-foot setback in SC. And as a corner lot, it would have to have that setback on both sides. That's correct. John always says that, I know.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you can withdraw it. And I think, let me say this.
Mr. Solicitor, because I'm educating this applicant does not give him the right to keep coming back until he can beat me up.
Yeah, well,
This applicant,
every application stands on its own
has been, this
merits.
applicant is confused to what the difference is between,
May I
Variant-
respond to that real quick here? I need to say something here. Every community is different. I have well over 100 billboards put up in the Pittsburgh area. Every area is different, so it's always a moving target. And I rely on the local bowling body to tell me what they're looking for, because this is not a real big thing. It's a billboard. I'm not putting up a building or anything like that. So before you judge whether I'm prepared for this, I followed what I was told to do. So I would like to withdraw and restart this over. I have the right to do so, and I feel like that in this particular situation, it's warranted.
I want to make one other comment.
Mr. Solicitor,
Yes.
I want to caution anyone who is guiding or coaching this applicant. I'm already frustrated from what I've heard from the applicant and who's doing what here. It's not Elizabeth Township's job to fulfill applications for applicants. You receive applicants, you process them, you approve them, you deny them. You do not educate people.
Well, my job is to educate the board.
That's
I've heard some
correct,
questions
sir.
from the board,
And
too.
that's why I'm stating this, sir. Look, let's go back a step. I may or may not like this. I don't like how uncertain I am on the lighting of this billboard. I would like to meet with this applicant so that he could clearly give me a photometrics on how this sign may or may not affect the lighting on my farm. If you can give me a photometrics that shows me what you're going to do here, I don't give a flip what happens as long as I'm not lit up here.
Let's join me something else. You get some of these cases.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That's background coming from somebody.
So it's my opinion. And unfortunately, this applicant has run into a stone wall. And I want him to know that for the last 36 years, zoning has been my career and my life. And I know what it takes for zoning hearing boards to do what they have to do. And I know that zoning hearing boards cannot process conditional use applications, which is what has been submitted here. And I have no problem taking Elizabeth Township down to see Judge James to make another decision if that's what it takes. And then when I get those costs of this silliness of an incomplete and unbelievable application, I'm going to go after somebody for my costs. So all I'm asking is, can someone and I prefer the applicant, to have a professional photometrics drawing done to show me how this billboard, this eyesore as I call it, that's clearly not permitted in this zoning district. No matter what the zoning hearing board says, Judge James is going to say different. But again, I'm not throwing names out here. I'm just stating facts. So if this applicant wants to back up and retry, come meet with me and show me an engineered photometrics of how this may or may not affect me, and clearly tell me how high this sign is. Is it 30 or is it 38?
Watch the last 5 minutes.
I will be more than glad to meet with somebody, preferably this Mr. Swiss, Wilhelm?
So,
Swisshelm, Mr. Swisshelm.
Yeah, but we got the letter in the mail. That's why we're here. We initiate it.
So am I hearing correctly? The application is withdrawn?
John, is that the best way to present to your community, to withdraw, to get the things that you are looking for that I needed, I guess, for tonight? Would that be the best way?
Again, here we go, Elizabeth Township.
I'm allowed to ask the zoning officer because
If you can hear,
every community is different. I just want to know the
Sir,
answer.
what
I think that's a valid question. Well, I think that's a valid question.
I'm referencing, Mr. Swisshelm, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, sir.
No problem, sir. None whatsoever.
You stated that you've got over 100 of these billboards installed in Pennsylvania. Is
Yes,
that
I
correct?
do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you that every municipality except the city of Philadelphia and the city of Pittsburgh are governed by the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code. So I don't know how you've got to where you've got 100 billboards up when you don't even know what the regulations are set by the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code. But again, that's only my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate that, sir. No
Maybe-
problem.
Maybe you met the criteria for a variance in every other case.
And I haven't reviewed those applications. So, and I'm the kind of person that learns as I make my mistakes in life. So, Mr. Swisshelm, I would, if you're willing, I would like to meet with you with an engineered photometrics to explain to me how the lighting off of this billboard may or may not affect my property. If you can
Sure.
show me engineering photometrics,
Gary, what's your last name?
it's WARGO.
And you're on the planning commission here?
No, sir, I'm on nothing with this
Oh,
township.
okay. Sorry, I have misunderstood that.
Mr. Wargo has long experience as a zoning officer in multiple communities, including Elizabeth Township.
Yeah, no problem. I thought he was on I'm just writing notes for.
It goes-
Okay.
The Elizabeth Township service goes, how many years was it since you've been here, Gary?
How many years it's been?
Yeah.
29. I quit 29 years ago.
Right.
And they've since then passed 2 different ordinances. So I have no clue what they're doing or doing. I know they're not following the code. That's what I know. If he applies for a variance to put that billboard down along 51, I'll vote yes, because it's further away from me. But I'm just telling you that you have a 35-foot building line and you can't build a permanent structure in the 35-foot front building line. Read the code. You can build an accessory sign to the permitted uses there, but you cannot build another independent structure such as this billboard. Read the code. If he applies for a variance to put it in the front like that, I'll ask you to please approve it because he's 35 more feet away from me. I'm following the rules and the procedures. The
Hey,
only
Gary,
issue
are you
I-
across the road or are you up the hill? I'm
I'm
sorry to
up the-
interrupt you, sir. I apologize.
I'm
Are
on
you
top
up?
of the hill.
You're on top of the hill.
Yes, sir. I'm behind this property from 51.
The owner of the billboard is actually lives right behind you there. So I'll also talk to him.
Who is that? May I
Joe
ask?
Ferrero?
Oh, God. I'm sorry. Joe Ferrero lives on Wiggles Hill Road. He's not even close to me.
He's behind you up there?
No, he lives on Wiggles Hill Road, about 3/4 of a mile up the hill
Okay, well, okay.
on Wiggles Hill. Where I live,
Let's go.
you can't see me. I will be more glad to give you my cell phone number and we can meet once you get this photometrics.
That's what I thought it was. I didn't see Wiggles Hill.
Okay, why don't, Gary, and, why don't you just get together and do that, and then he can withdraw this and,
Yeah, I don't think the board needs to vote if the application is withdrawn. I think the board can just move on.
Yeah, we'll just move to the next hearing.
So this is withdrawn or it's postponed or what is?
Postponed if we could. I'd like to revisit this.
The area.
Now that the board probably should vote on.
I would
we should
appreciate a
establish
vote on the
whether it's-
board on that.
Yeah, we should establish whether it's continued generally or to a specific date.
Thank you.
So am I going to be notified of this?
Yes.
Okay, is Mr. Ferrero, I'm sorry, strike that. Is Mr. Swisshelm going to be getting me a photometrics and getting me in contact with me so that we can go over this together?
That's up to the board. If that's something that the board requires, then absolutely. It's up to you guys. You know, you're the ruling body on this.
Just one final point. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the municipality's planning code that Mr. Wargo has cited several times does require that if you're postponing, that the last hearing be held within 100 days of the application.
Thank you. Sooner the better.
I have one more question for Mr. Swisshelm.
Yes,
Are
sir.
billboards assessed by the Allegheny County Tax Assessment Department?
Are they assessed as far as taxable income?
Yes, taxes,
Yes.
real taxes.
Yes, to the owner of the billboard, not the owner of the property.
Okay, I just needed that clarification.
Sure.
So are we gonna meet? Do you want my phone number? What do
Go ahead,
you
give me
want?
your number. Gary, go ahead, please give me your phone number.
It's area code 412
Imagine you had to be
680
I missed that, sir. Would you say that? 412?
680 6674.
I did not hear from the board if that's something that is required for this, that I meet with Gary to do a photo matrix on the brightness of the sign. Is that something that the board is requiring?
I would think that, you already kind of stated about the way the billboard lighting goes. It would be advisable that you could let the board know exactly how it works.
No problem. I
So
will,
that
I will
include-
have that prepared for the board.
And I will also see that, correct?
Beating.
It will be,
Again, I'm not the ruling body here. Whatever you guys tell me to do, I'm going to do.
I
Yeah,
mean.
if you can get it to me, it can be reviewed, open for review by anybody. Correct, Solicitor Exides?
Yes, I think that's right.
Well, can't I get one from Mr. Swisshelm when we meet?
You guys up to Mr. Swisshelm, although the board probably could direct it as a condition.
Up to you guys. Like I've said all along, if I needed this tonight, I would have. I didn't know it. I plead the fifth. I will take full responsibility for that. And I will get whatever information you need me to get.
Well, I mean, you get the information, it's going to be in the packet, so everyone's going to be able to look at it.
That is
But I
true.
don't get a packet.
Well, yeah,
So are we, just to clarify, are we postponed to the next meeting then?
do you want to postpone it to the next meeting?
If you're asking me, yes, I want to postpone it to get clarification on what exactly is needed for this meeting. And I will have everything ready for that meeting that you are requesting tonight. From
And
the
I think
5
if you do
conditions to
postpone
the
it-
setback requirement, to the photo measure, whatever it is, I will have it ready.
Well,
My only comment is if you do postpone it, it's probably a good idea. Just postpone it to a specific date.
I agree with that. John, or somebody want to let me know what that date is, and I will work to have this completed.
well, we're going into the Christmas holidays, so
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be an earlier meeting than. John,
Hey, Jim,
Hang on, I'm checking my calendar here.
Well, let me make a comment. My engineer and surveyors are swamped with work right now. I can't believe with the holidays, deer season, they're gonna turn around and a formal photometrics drawing by whenever your next
Yeah, that's a
meeting
good point.
is.
That's a good point.
January is much better for everybody. And
That's
since
possible.
everybody knows me, please tell Mr. Swisshelm that I will not bite his head off. I am one of the nicest persons you'll ever want to meet. I just need to know this information.
You're never in the office.
And may I add to this, Gary, that if I owned a property and I found out that that sign was going to be lighting up my property, I would have the same issue as you have. I fully agree. But I also guarantee you that that won't be an issue. So I would have zero problem meeting with you, sir.
Well, that's good. The only thing I want to tell you about guarantees, I love them, especially when there's a cash bond with it. Then it's a guarantee. Okay?
Guarantee is, I guess, is only as good as the person giving it. So I understand.
I have
That's
one
why-
question for John Nelson before we go.
Yeah, if I could, the January zoning hearing board meeting would be on the 27th.
so let's move it to the 27th. of
I'm
January.
busy that night. No, that's just a joke. Just a joke.
John, is that still within 100 days of the application?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank
what
you,
it-
everybody. God bless and have a wonderful evening.
Can we go back 1 second and give me that date again? My pen ran out of ink.
27th of January is what I have.
Don't have 2 pens?
Yeah, you'll also get another notice in the mail too.
And that's at 7 PM. In the meantime, I will hear from Mr. Swisshelm. And I guess I'm going to get to see the photometrics and I'll get to meet Mr. Swisshelm. And hopefully we'll be ready for the 27th.
Sounds like a winner, everybody. God bless and have a wonderful evening.
I want to thank all the zoning hearing board members, Mr. Solicitor, for their time.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
move on to our next hearing. It's ZHB 20-16. Would you like to explain from what you're looking for?
I
Hold on.
apologize if this is me.
There she is.
Is it
Is
me?
this,
Yeah, is
Is
that
it
you,
my-
Kelly?
I'm sorry. I didn't know what my number was.
That's you.
Sorry, Kelly.
Okay, I'm here. So we would like to put a pool with a deck on it in our backyard. And the variance of the 10 feet from each property line is kind of prohibiting what we can do. So we were asking for a variance to move that closer to the property line on two sides.
What is the utility easement there? Is that power line or?
It doesn't state on the survey.
I'm just gonna let them know we're here.
Is anyone on want to talk about this other than the applicant?
Yes, Jim and Sandy Bocardi, we're neighbors next to them. We oppose this, we oppose what is asking for the variance. It's entirely too much to be taken away.
Where are you located physically? Are you
Okay,
if I'm facing their
I'm
property?
107 Sherwick, so our backyards are side by side. And I gave Greg a letter, which if it needs to be read, I mean, he could read it for me, and I have a couple other remarks.
John, you have that letter?
Yes. Yeah, they did send in a letter to the board. The installing of a swimming pool and deck by our neighbor Randy and Kelly Holzlegel at 105 Sherwick Drive impacts us directly. We live at 107 Sherwick Drive, and our backyards are side by side where the pool is to be built and only separated by a chain link fence. As a 10-foot variance is requested by law between property lines, by taking 8 feet away from this would only leave a 2-foot variance. This is entirely unacceptable, and we say no to this request. A 10-foot variance is required and should be upheld. When we built our shed, we had to go by this variance, and we expect others to have to do the same. Thank you for the opportunity to express our concern.
Yes, and I just want to thank you very much for reading that for me. And the hardship right now for us is privacy, being so close to the fence, because we have a porch on that side that is the whole length of the side of my home. It's a huge porch. Now, we use this porch all summer, so we're very close. We're only 17 feet from my porch wall to that chain link fence. So if that 2-foot variance is right there, we lose our privacy in our backyard and on our porch, and it's entirely too close. And not only that, if we go to sell our home, it will be also a black mark, because that variance will be there, and people wanting to buy my home down the road, they will look at that and not want to buy the home. It's not even good for us in any way.
Could I have the name of the letter writer again?
Jim and Sandy Bocardi. That's Boccardi. We live right next door.
We've been here for 55 years.
Really? Where's Sherwood Drive?
It's up on, they call this Monview Manor. It's right up above John, what can I say?
Above the Carlos
Supermarket. It's Blaine Hill, actually, but we're on the far end of Blaine Hill, where there used to be the Biddle Chiropractic below, and there's a Dr. Kuhn down there now.
Gotcha.
Am I allowed to speak to this?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify some things that were said. So the porch that she's referencing is actually directly across from my house. So if I'm looking out my kitchen window, I'm looking at her porch. The pool and the deck is actually the other side of the yard. So the side where the pool and deck are proposed is next to their yard, but not their porch. The porch is down further. I'm trying to think, if you're looking at the survey that I gave you, you can see the pool and the deck, and through that chain link fence is grass all there. It's the two houses that are actually facing each other, the sides of them. So the pool is further down. It's not directly next to that porch. And actually the side where they're at is where we were going to put the deck. So the pool would technically still be over 10 feet in from the fence. It would be the deck that would be closer to the fence. If that makes sense.
Hey, John, this is Larry. I still have a concern I don't think we answered relative to the variance on the back. If it's 2 feet from the back of the Walsh-Legos property, it looks to me like both the pool and the deck are going to be over the utility right away. Utility easement.
It would be at the edge of the easement there, yes.
Well, it looks
Well,
like,
it would be over. Those are not, not necessarily to scale, so I can't say for sure how far that would be over.
yeah, but if you use their drawing, their survey, it shows about 7.5 feet on each side of their property line for the utility easement. Assuming it's a 15-foot easement as it's projected. So this would put both their pool and their deck over top of the utility easement.
Actually, can I talk a minute? The pool, even if they're up on this deck, there still is no privacy in our backyard because 2 feet away is entirely too close. Everyone else has to go by the rule. You have to readjust how you build your pool. You can't infringe on other people's privacy when we're in our yard or on our porch. Our porch is very close to where her deck will be. Believe me, if you would come and see these properties, you would see what I mean. There is an easement back there.
Just go by the law of the ordinance that you have. If it's 10 foot, it's 10 foot.
As far as I'm concerned, I'll just say one more thing. A 2-foot variance
There's
to
nothing.
me is no variance. It's no safety net. And for my home to be sold down the road, that is another bad mark against me trying to sell my home when I do sell.
It'd be an 8-foot variance, it'd be a 2-foot setback.
No, where she's having the deck, there will only be 2 foot from the deck to that fence, which is the property line.
Yeah, you both said the same thing. That's correct. You're right, Mrs. Walsh-Legos. The property line, the fence that they have there looks like it would be 2 feet from the fence to the deck, which is an
Correct.
That would be an 8-foot variance.
That's a lot to ask.
I got you.
And we're willing to negotiate on where we put it. The problem is the yards aren't that big. And I do have 3 small children. This summer was abysmal and next summer is not looking much better. We're trying to get something that, we can get upstairs, that we can get up, the pool and the deck built for them so we can have a safe area for them without putting it on top of our house, basically, because 10 foot and 10 foot is a lot of space.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 2. I put 2 to 3 on the survey, just, to have some idea. We do want room to walk around it. We don't want it butt up against either fence, but, we don't have much room in the backyard. They have a playground back there. Like, there's a lot of, we don't have many options. So we're trying to make it, we don't want to inconvenience anybody. We don't want to disrespect anybody, but, we'd like to have an area for our family.
Make your pool smaller.
Board have any other questions?
Like I said, I'm willing to adjust the dimensions and move it in some if that would help get the variance passed. I would just need to know specifically what would work with everybody.
10 foot.
I'd like to speak. What is the distance between the pool and your porch?
Actually,
From
to
the
that,
back-
the
the back
length fence is
fence?
actually 17 feet. 17 feet we have from our porch to the link fence.
Excuse me, I think, are you, who was that asked the question? Was that Jane?
Yes, it's me, Jane.
Oh, okay. I didn't recognize the number you called from, Jane. Sorry. Who are you directing your question to? I'm sorry.
I was directing it to the homeowner. How far is it from her porch to where the pool will be, you know? How much room in between?
You mean the neighbor's porch to my pool?
No. From the porch of the owner to
Myself.
where they want to put the pool.
You're talking about the back porch on my house.
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously there's no pool there. We didn't want it to, we were thinking about having it connect to this deck. But then we were concerned about the safety of having, you know, it easily accessible by the kids, which is why we kind of redid our plans for it. I don't know exactly because, you know, I was just doing rough estimates. It could be, you know, a couple feet if we pull it up, you know, it could be 10 feet. I'm not sure because we haven't decided exactly on a size of the pool. You know, we'd like to get something that'll fit our whole family and, you know, the kids will have room in, but there is that deck when you go outside and then there's not much yard after that.
Right. Okay, that's what I was curious about, if you could move it closer, you know, to your back porch.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I said. I'm willing to like work with whatever. The original plan, we were going to try to get it closer to the house, but we were concerned, you know, with the safety of people being able to get to it, mainly our children, you know,
Right.
And then we thought a separate deck would be safer. That way we could lock it and they wouldn't be able to, you know, climb or do things like that. But like I said, we're willing to, you know, figure something out that'll work for everybody.
If you would put the pool closer to the chain link fence and put your deck on the other side next to the play area, would that work for
No.
you?
We wouldn't, the reason we actually put the deck on that side was so that, you know, we would be like, our backs would be to them. So it was almost like, it's kind of hard. Like right now we have a deck on our back, like a porch on our backyard. And when we look outside, the neighbors behind us, like if they're sitting on their porch and we're sitting on our porch, we're like staring at each other. And it's kind of awkward. So we felt, you know, if we had it parallel with their yard, then we wouldn't be like staring at them while we're sitting on the deck watching the kids, because they're out in their yard a lot. They do a lot of yard work. They have, you know, grandkids that come over and play. So that's why we kind of had it parallel with them so that our backs would be facing them. So it wasn't like we were staring at each other while we were out there. That's why we did that proposal. If this is not going to be approved or if there's going to be an issue, I don't know what I'd do. I would probably try to put an addition on to the one that's currently here and move the pool closer towards the house, I guess.
Adjustments can always be made to you have a certain amount of property, so you have to make adjustments. And the 10-foot easeway for this variance is very important. We all need it for privacy, just like you needed privacy from neighbors looking at you. We need privacy. So it all comes hand in hand to adjust according to the property size that you're allotted, and that's all you can do.
I'm not budging.
Larry, you have anything?
No, I was trying to follow the line of thinking here to see if it was going to help in the suggestions that were being made. And I hate to be a spoiler, but if we move the deck closer to the house, we're probably just making it worse to, is it Bacardi? Did I get that right? Bakari?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, forgive me if I didn't get it right, but it just makes it worse for you folks.
Definitely.
Just keep the 10 feet variance. That's what it's for.
That's fine, but I want you to understand when you're asking for the 10 feet variance, it's going to come 10 feet away from your porch, but it's going to come 10 feet closer to your porch from the back end. So you're giving up a little bit.
Not
to come
really.
in,
No,
No,
but
no, it
it's
isn't.
It's a 75-foot parallel line.
These properties are only 75 foot wide.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is not only did we ask for a variance on your side of the fence, we asked for a variance on the back side of the fence. So if we're
Well, I
gonna
don't
push it
live
in,
there.
That's not our problem.
That's not
but
our
it's
problem.
going
That's the
to come
backyard.
closer to your porch. When I pull that in 10 feet from the back property line, it's moving it closer to my house, which is in fact moving it closer to your house. I'm
Well,
just
that's
saying that. I'm
fine.
not
That's
arguing
fine.
about this. I'm just saying that either way, there's going to be a pool in the yard and
Oh, we don't,
It's going
listen,
to
we don't
happen.
disagree with the pool. The pool's fine. If you bay and keep the room enough that everybody can be safe in our side of the property fence and on your side. And no, we don't care. That's fine. You can have a pool, but you can make adjustments with decks, with sizes of pools, with what you have to do. No matter which way you pull it in, it doesn't matter. Just so there's a 10-foot variance on our side.
Let me be the straw man for just a minute. I don't think this is going to go where it should, but let me try. If you move that pool, I don't know how good or how big or what this play area is. It doesn't seem on the drawing I have, the survey that I have. Is there something in there right now, or is that just an area that you've designated for the children? to
no,
play?
it's mulched with a $2,000 swing set.
Larry, if you would look in the packet I gave you, there should be
I
a
did.
satellite photo of that.
I did. I was there. I visited the property. I'm with you. There's also a shed in the front yard. Yeah,
It's
I
on
guess
the
what I'm
side.
struggling with, John, is how much of this property can we cover with buildings?
Well, the
Go up.
playground's not a building, it's a temporary thing.
Oh, then if, okay, and bear with me then, and like I said, this may be totally wrong for you, but if the pool was sized a little smaller, if that can be done, or if you move it over toward the play area, move it up toward your house enough to get your 10 foot on the back instead of 2, and then move it away from the neighbors on the side, which is to move that to the 10 feet, you're in compliance with the zoning and you accomplished all 3 things.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I said, we were trying to make it so that we could utilize as much space as we could, being that the yards are small, and we felt that putting the deck where we put it was actually going to provide more privacy for both of our families, but that is not being viewed that way by the other party.
I think
That's correct. That's correct. It's not privacy for us, correct. Deck or pool, it's still the same.
And I understand that. I just want you to realize that when we did this, our intentions were to try to provide more privacy so that the pool wasn't wide open for you to see. It was kind of like the deck was a barrier between your yard and the pool. Because the deck, you were going to have a 2 to 3 foot variance, then you were going to have another 10-foot deck. The pool was going to be set back almost 12, 13 feet. So if this variance isn't approved, the pool is going to be 10 feet exactly from the property line. Where we were having a deck kind of as a buffer to kind of give some more space for you. I just want you to understand this was not ill-wished and that we were trying to make it best for you guys and us.
Well, that's fine. Thank you for that. But in the same token, we feel that our property needs the 10-foot variance. And we'd rather have that the way it should be.
Larry, if I could get back to your question that you asked, it's 40%.
Yes.
we're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're getting close. If you consider all 3 of these pieces. I guess what we're saying.
What 3 pieces are you considering? I'm sorry, can I just ask?
Maybe we're getting it. Let me just stay with my thought for just a minute. I think maybe Jane had mentioned this earlier, so I'm not getting it right here. Correct me, but it looks like if the pool is sized or reduced or however you can handle the pool, but move the pool in from the back of the property, the 10 feet, which is the current zoning requirement. It's more in line with the easement, I think, than the zoning, quite frankly. but then move it in from, instead of 2 feet, go to the 10 feet, which is the zoning requirement, and move everything back toward the house enough to comply with that, and move it toward the play area, and everyone's happy.
Mhm.
So my question is, well, I mean, I'm not happy, but I guess
Who's speaking?
the property owner.
Oh, okay, I got you. No, I
Um,
can imagine. I understand.
I'm not happy, but I mean, I guess here's my question. If we concede to the 10 feet on that line, do we have to concede to the 10 feet from the back line?
Well, I
Because
think-
right now, nobody's contesting that.
No, but I think what you'll run into back there is a utility easement, which is already going to be 7.5 feet.
Okay.
The problem, do you know what the utility easement is back there?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Well, I'm guessing that's a part that we shouldn't build on because they may need to go through the utilities or something back there.
or do you know if there's any utilities back there right now?
I do not. I believe all the utilities run through the front of our yards.
There is an easement, sorry,
There's an easement for the backyard people.
between the two.
The house is located in the backyard. That's their easement.
It's not, it's just marked as a 15-foot utility easement. There's no,
Correct.
it does not identify whose easement it is or if anything's even located there.
It's the township.
It's the township easement. When I bought the home, they explained this to me. That if they have to come back here and dig up that property, that's their property, not ours.
So here's my question, I guess, for the board. So if I was going to move the pool 10 feet, 10 feet, as well as the deck, I can do whatever I want with it? As long as it's in the
I
10
think,
feet
John, I'm
and 10 feet?
speaking for John here, but I believe, John, that would be in compliance with our zoning.
If it meets the required setbacks, then there's no problem issuing
So then I would
zoning-
just come to you
a
and get a
zoning,
permit.
there's no problem issuing a zoning certificate. We're simply here tonight because of the location of where she wished to put it would require a dimensional variance.
Let me
To,
repeat what I think I heard her say. If she came in 10 feet from the side, if she came in 10 feet from the back, she's in compliance with our zoning. Is that correct, John? Is that the way you're interpreting it?
yes,
Okay. Is that correct for you, Mrs. Walschlegel?
Yeah, and I could build my pool with a deck on it as long as it wasn't in those 10-foot areas,
John?
correct?
correct. Yeah, if that, I mean, if that, where you wanted to put it and you submitted it and when we talked about it, we'd just get a permit, but going closer would require a dimensional variance. Hence the reason we're here tonight.
I completely understand that.
To do that, then would they withdraw the variance application, John?
They could, yes. Or, I mean,
What do you guys
that would be
think?
up to the applicant or, if they want to do that or if do they want to,
If we've got an answer that satisfies everybody as far as the residents, what's the best way for us to go, John or Rob?
I mean, just for the record, we're not satisfied.
Absolutely not.
I mean, we're willing to work and I've asked multiple times if we could talk more about this, but apparently they're sticking to their guns and they aren't going to budge, so.
You're definitely right. We are definitely in step with the law, and the law is 10 feet, and that's what it should be. Everyone can adjust in their own property what they put on that property, and it's up to you to do that, not for us to worry about that. It's up to you to do it.
And I understand that, but there's a variance in place for a reason, so that people
Yes,
can
there
apply
is.
and get exceptions.
I love the variance. I'm so happy we have it.
Rob, you may want to describe what a variance is. I don't think one
Yeah.
of the parties here understands.
I agree.
Yeah,
With a setback and a variance,
right. The distance that a structure sits, the distance that a structure sits back from a property line is not a variance, it's a setback. A variance is a request to shorten that distance.
Oh,
So
good.
Setback, the proposed setback would be 2 feet. The variance is requested here would be 8 feet because there's a 10 feet required setback. I want to say one other thing. it's always possible. There's two options here. The Wolfslagos could just withdraw the application and build within the required setback lines. That would be legal and there'd be no need for a variance. Or we could postpone the case like the other one, and they could try and work out a compromise that varies a little bit from the law, but not as much as this does. I get the sense, though, that the next door neighbors don't want to compromise on any dimension on any side.
Well, we only have the choice of one side of this setback. Is that what you call it? No, we're on one side. The backyard people haven't communicated, I guess. So no, we're fine with what was decided now, and I think it should be kept that way. It is 10 feet is very small. It's not large, and it's not asking too much.
You actually do have a say in that, and Larry points out that whatever that easement is probably 7.5 feet. So you
So
probably
that's
have to
from the
move
other
that some.
property line, I believe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's not on ours. No.
No, that,
Yeah,
I think
right.
I think we've
Right,
got half of it, Rob, if I may speak to it. This is Larry. I think the neighbors on the left side, in their opinion, they're entitled to their opinion, just like everyone else here this evening, and it is 10 feet in their mind, and they're satisfied if we stay with the setback of 10 feet, which is the current zoning. Relative to the back, that's a different issue there. That has a 15, from what I see on the survey now, that has a 15-foot utility easement, which looks to me like it goes right through the center of the property line of the Wolfschlegel property. That means they would have a 7.5-foot easement on their property. The other 7.5 are the neighbors behind them. So to be off the easement, they would have to at least be in 7.5 feet.
Would we still be eligible to do that from the back property line then if we brought it in 7.5?
Yes.
You'd have to get a variance for that, right, Keith?
Well,
That's
couldn't
what
we
the-
just adjust the one that we have applied right now?
No, right? Well, I don't know. John's got the paperwork here. Somebody's going to have to help me on this one. Right now, you're asking for an 8-foot variance, as Rob had described to us.
On the side and the back, yes.
No, the
So
back,
if-
but I'm talking to the back, which is just what you were talking to.
Yes,
All right, well, with the back, you're asking currently for an 8-foot variance.
yes.
But the difficulty with the 8-foot variance is you already have a 7.5-foot easement, utility easement that you don't own. Well, you own, but they have an easement through it, I guess, is what we should say.
I understand that. So I'm asking, in this hearing, can that back variance be adjusted to the 2.5 instead of the 8? Since we have that back property line that has to have the 7.5 easement.
They can amend,
Go ahead,
if what you're asking is, can you amend your application? The answer is yes.
I'm not sure how this works. That's why I'm asking. We applied for 8-foot variance on each side according to the application. One side is being contested, the other side is not being contested, but according to the township, there is that 7.5 easement. So is that has to be reapplied, that has to be adjusted, that's just voted by the board? I'm not sure what the next step is to still use that 2.5 is what I'm saying.
Ultimately, it's the board's decision. Ultimately, it's the board's decision, actually.
Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be reapplying for anything because it's a shame that I spent $250 on this for somebody to say no. Do you know what I mean? So I can't try again. So if there can be adjustments made, I'd much rather do that.
Well, why don't you, since you're making adjustments, why don't you just move in the 10 feet from the back and you don't have a problem?
Because my concern is even 2 foot is going to give me a little more room out my back door.
As long as she keeps the pole 7.5 feet off the property line, we can grant her a 2.5-foot variance of the 10 foot.
And that's what I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, we got the same thing, John, or Keith, with the playground area. It looks like the play area is under the easement also.
That's not a stationary, because it's just mulch in a playground. Like, it can be moved.
Mhm.
It's just heavy. It's not like a actual structure. It's a swing set.
Not a structure, then it's not a problem.
It's blue mulch. Blue,
Yeah.
I believe it's blue rubberized mulch.
It is.
Well, you know what? Let's try to see if, let me make a suggestion here and see if this brings the community together here. If we did what the Wolfschlägel lady is saying, come in, if I understand what you're saying now, correct me if I'm wrong, you'd come in the 7.5 feet from the back property line.
Yes.
So you would need a 2.5 foot variance.
Yes.
Okay, and that would probably be in favor of your neighbor on the left, which is the Bakari, I guess I got it right. Because the closer that pool and deck gets to your property, it is also getting closer to theirs for their privacy.
Yes.
Maybe the answer is to do that, guys, is to look at a 2.5 foot variance, which is the result of this 15-foot easement, 7.5 foot on the Wolfschlägel property. And that would satisfy everybody to the best we can get here tonight. Does that bring the neighbors together? Does that bring everybody
Okay.
together? I know
Okay, as
everybody.
far as just as far as my side, the Bacardi, we're on the side. We still have the 10-foot setback.
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine with us. That's fine with us.
You'd have to deny the variance on the side.
Yeah, that's right, Rob.
That'd be part one. You deny the 10-foot, the 8-foot variance.
That's correct. We deny that one and we permit them to revise it to ask for 2.5 feet in the back from their property line in the back, then instead of the 2 feet they're asking for, would actually have what, 7.5 feet.
Larry, do you want to make a motion on that?
It's up to the property owners. I would make that motion, yes. If the property owners, if that brings everybody together, I'd be glad to make that motion.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine with us too.
How about the
10-foot.
Wolfschlägel? How about the Wolfschlägel?
Question about the, what about the deck now? Where you can put the deck at?
We're probably gonna have to go back to our original plan where it's almost attached to the deck that's already there. So when you come out of the back door, you'll see there's like a deck, porch that runs the backyard.
Yes,
The one part of it is actually up higher because the door is in the air. So you have to take steps down to the ground. So it's probably gonna have to be built onto that deck and then to the pool. So it would almost be like an extension of that deck, which we said in the beginning, we were trying to keep them as separate decks for safety reasons.
Let me follow up on Terry's question to make sure I understand it. Now, we're talking about 20 feet, or not 20 feet, excuse me, 10 feet from the Bacardis for the deck or the pool, whatever's going to be
The
there.
deck is not gonna be over there anymore. It would just be the pool.
It would just be the pool.
Yes, 10 foot
Okay.
in with a pool.
Okay, so then that would be 10 feet.
And the deck would actually run parallel to the deck porch that is already on the house.
Okay, that suits you. I'll make that motion if that suits everybody.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Terry seconded it. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion's passed.
Okay. Thank you for your time and listening
Thanks
to
for
us.
everybody's patience. I appreciate it. We worked the solution.
Okay, thank you too. Good night.
Good night now.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Okay, our next
I wish we had.
is ZHB 2017. Ashley, you want to explain what you want to do?
Yeah, I'm applying for a variance to operate a childcare center in the existing building where Dr. Holman was at 1001 Wiggles Hill Road.
Okay. Okay, you have a daycare right now down at Alpine Village,
I do.
and you have about 35.
It
Kids.
holds, that childcare center holds 31 max. This one will hold about the same. I do have to knock down walls in the interior in order to do so, just to make sure that all of the children have at least 40 square feet inside of the building. As far as the play yard goes, we ideally would like to put it directly, I guess it's like where the dumpster sits right now, right before the tree and almost to the butt of the building, a little bit further past it. It would be 20 by 100, equaling 2,000 square feet. And that would be enough for 30 children if they all went outside at once, but they do not, just to make sure nobody gets an injury or anything like that. Excuse me. They go out by class sizes. So 5 kids at a time, 6 kids, the most kids outside at one time would be 10.
Where this dumpster is that right behind the building?
Yeah,
When
it's
you're
in the
going-
parking lot.
Yeah, when you're going from Wiggles Hill Road there, it's kind of behind it.
Yes.
John, has anybody commented on the posting?
I did receive a phone call today and they were supposed to, they said they were going to send me an email letter, but I have not received it and they were in favor of it.
I would like to make a statement.
Okay, your name?
My name's Ron Rossi. I'm the neighbor in 1005 Wiggle Hill.
Are you the one to the left, John?
Pardon?
John, are you the gentleman to the left?
We're right at, we're the last house on Wiggle Hill Road.
Oh, the last house. You're going toward, I got you, toward 48.
Yes.
Mhm.
I just have a couple of concerns. I haven't seen any plans yet for this. I understand Greg told me when I was over at the township building that no plans have been developed yet. But I wasn't, I understand from what Ashley said that they want to put the fenced in area out on the, in front of the building in the parking lot.
No, not in front.
In the back.
Yes.
Is it going to be on our fence line?
No, it's actually about 200 feet from your property.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
it gives enough space. And I spoke to Bob too, just to clarify with you guys. I believe that there's like an 8-foot right away or something. He wanted to make sure that I had no interest of anybody going through there, and I do not. I enjoy the privacy. I'm not trying to, sign or invite anybody in. I told him that I'd be happy to sign something just stating that I have no intentions of that. So whether I'm just kind of waiting on, it's contingent upon this meeting pretty much, or that's why there's no real plans in place.
So whatever you decide to do, it's going to be away from our fence line because of there is a 10-foot right of way going to property behind ours. So it's right along that fence all the way from the road, all the way to the back of the property to the, I think it's to the 700-foot mark.
Sure.
One other concern, I don't know if you know about this or anybody else, but there's a microwave tower right on Wiggle Hill Road, right at the corner of Mr. Holman's driveway, that there's a sign on the top of that tower that says radiation. And I'm not quite sure what that means in the terms that there's children there.
Me neither, but that's a concern that I would have as well.
I was, they put a microwave tower there just recently, maybe in the summertime. Nobody knew anything about that tower. They just installed it and we don't even know what it's for. But there is a danger sign on the top of that thing. It says radiation, and I'm sure it's low level, but I didn't know what type of concerns that was for a children's daycare.
Is this located on top of a pole, a telephone pole?
Yes.
Okay, it sounds like it may be I can't think of the name of it, but one of those small cellular booster antennas that they've put in. I know they put, there's one by, it seems to be closer to the schools. There's one by Greenock. There's one by Mount Vernon. and that may be the same one that the cellular carriers have put in. It's a small antenna that goes on top of a telephone pole.
It isn't an antenna as much as it is it's probably a 2 foot by 3 foot box on top of that pole.
Correct, that's an antenna.
Oh, okay.
That's a cellular antenna.
Well, I didn't know if that was a concern or anything, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I didn't see it or know about it.
No, but that's a good question that on a separate issue, you may want to run to ground because John, we do have one up here in Mount Vernon.
Yeah, there's recently ones were permitted, just off my memory, one was permitted off right across from Mount Vernon School and one right across from
Well, the one in Mount Vernon is actually down toward the Bell Telephone.
yeah, a little bit because they got a permission to use a pole.
Yeah.
I believe the one in Greenock across from the school, there was no pole on that side, so they had to actually mount their own pole.
These are controversial.
I'd like to speak on behalf of Ashley. My name is Bart Rocco, 426 Highland Drive. Ashley's obviously has a nice business in the community, and her willingness to want to expand that business is something that I think as a resident, but also as a commissioner, I'm in support of. And I just wanted to speak on her behalf. So I hope that the board would agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rocket.
I think, John, is there any way we can help her with finding out who owns these boxes that we were talking about, these microwave boxes?
Yeah, I can go back through and get her some of that information.
Yeah, to help her to run that to ground, because that leaves us with a kind of an open question right now relative to the radio.
Yeah, I think they're just required to have the radiation sticker on it. I mean, because simply, I mean, your cell phone emits extremely low radiation as well, but it's as closer you to get to a signal emission, it goes up. I can get you the information on that.
That's separate from her hearing request here, but.
One other concern that I have, I understand there's a dumpster out in the parking lot, and that's going to stay where it is.
I really haven't had the chance to, get any further with this just because no real plans have been set in stone due to the unknown whether this would pass or not. I would need a dumpster in order to keep the garbage moving from the inside of the daycare. I do supply the children with their daily meals, breakfast, lunch, and snack, as well as dirty diapers. So, but that's something that would need to be kept up on and would need to be taken out weekly. So
the concern I have about that is because we're somewhat in a country setting, all right, and there aren't that many neighbors, and we're actually close to the woods. On any given evening, specifically midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning, there are probably no less than 3 to 6 raccoons around that dumpster. And and those raccoons are actually, they get into that dumpster. And I guess a concern would be whatever's inside there. I understand there's whatever's in there now, the raccoons get to it. But I guess my concern is strictly about the dirty diapers, to have the raccoons in there and then tramping around after the fact. That's somewhat of a concern of mine. I don't know how you eliminate that in the country setting.
I don't know if you can put a lock on a dumpster or anything like that. I've never had to rent one or deal with it on my own.
They do make bars.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so because
They do
I
make bars on
certainly
that.
don't want to be picking up the bowel movements all over the parking lot 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. anytime. So that's something that I would absolutely be happy to do.
Well, that's fine. I just, that is a concern because I leave for work at 3 o'clock in the morning and I see raccoons out there all the time. And whatever's in there is
Coming out.
If it isn't like taken care of, it's going to be on the ground. You don't, and at this point, you don't even know where that dumpster is going to be. It's going to be somewhere out in that parking lot.
True.
Not behind the building, close to us.
You know, is there any thoughts, just out of curiosity along that same line, not for the dumpsters, because the raccoons are gonna find it either way. But I'm wondering, is there any plans on having any sort of shrubbery to, like for the children's play area from the Rossi?
I'm happy to put it up if the neighbors would like it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that side might be a nice place to catch both of these.
Sure.
But the lock, whoever mentioned the lock on the dumpster is a good idea. That's about the only thing the raccoons can't do is open the lock.
It's a real good idea.
Anybody else have anything? Charlie?
Not really.
Well, I have a question. Property is currently vacant, correct?
Yes.
Are you purchasing the facility or are you leasing?
Purchasing.
Purchasing.
John, how does that fall in with the area for daycare?
Well, it would not alter the character of the neighborhood. I mean, there's the Elizabeth Forward High School right across the street. The use variance would be required simply because it is located in an R2 district. It's currently a legal non-conforming use. And the only comparable use would be a daycare at a church within a zoning district. So a variance for the use as a child daycare center would be required.
Okay.
Does that did that answer your?
Yes, it does. What is the position of the board?
Larry, go ahead, Jerry, if you want to.
Yeah, just looking for the way I'm looking at it, and what I'm hearing is, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't approve the variance for the childcare. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good place for it.
I'll second that, but I'll add to the fact that I think it's going to be an asset to that area.
Is it going to be okay if once the plans are finalized, if I could look at them?
Of course.
Which plans are you referring to?
For Ashley said that they were going to put a fenced in area for the childs, and I just wanted to know if where that was going to be exactly. She said it's going to be a couple 100 feet, but I still would like to see what the plans look like.
Yes, for a zoning certificate, that's possible.
Is Ashley, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is the parking lot going to change in any way?
No, I plan to leave it exactly how it is. We absolutely will not use all of that space at any given time, really. The most children that will be in the building is probably max capacity 31. There will be about 7 cars on the busiest day that are employee cars. So it leaves space for, the parents to drop off and pick up their children, but nobody they're so in and out. They're drop off quick, pick up quick, and they're eager to get home and fast to go to work. So.
Okay, all right. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you. I do have like a drawing of just like the border and everything. I'm happy to swing by and show you guys if you'd like. It's just blocked off in like marker, but just so you have an idea.
That would be
where it
good.
falls. Sure.
Like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Would you give me your phone number so I can contact you guys outside of here?
412.
Okay.
889.
Okay.
4834.
I'm going to repeat it just to make sure I have it correct. 412-889-4834.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, we have a a first and a second.
You got a first from Terry and myself, second, Keith.
Yeah, with the stipulation of showing the plans to the neighbor. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
And I'll tell you one thing that's surprising me. Ashley, when did you graduate from Elizabeth Forward?
2007.
Well, you're a credit to your class. I'll tell you, God love you. I hope you do well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Do you need any more employees?
Hey, always
I got a granddaughter looking for a job.
send her my way. She has to be 18.
And a comment just beyond the zoning hearing board responsibility here or authority.
If we could real quick, Mr. Chairman, you want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I thought one of you would make that motion, but
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
first and a second, meeting adjourned.
I think since you and the Rossies are going to be neighbors, maybe the formality can break as soon as you can and you can work together there.
Sure, I can